What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you courtesy of SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82. The number to call up, as always, is 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. And plus, you can always leave in your voicemail messages. I'll get to them eventually. SiriusXM.com/GetSerious. That's SiriusXM.com/GetSerious. I hope y'all all had a wonderful weekend. I, myself, had a very, very nice weekend. I really, really did. I mean, the weather was beautiful. I was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award, courtesy of Nancy Lieberman and her foundation. That award, to my, in all humility and sincerity, was presented to me surprisingly by the owner for the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. I cannot thank him enough for taking time out of his busy schedule and taking the time to bestow me with such a prestigious honor. I am really, really grateful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very, very much, Jerry Jones. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about the Cowboys now. And that's not the deal we made. Did you see what happened to the Dallas Cowboys in Chi-Town yesterday afternoon? Because I got to admit, I felt sorry for my my Libra brother. I felt sorry. I reckon he's a bit miserable right now as we think about how the Dallas Cowboys got trampled. And there's a lot of things to get into. We got to get into the Eagles and then improbable victory against the Los Angeles Rams. We got to get into the Houston Texans and what the hell is going on in H-Town. They're 0-3. How Daniel Jones, former quarterback for the New York Giants, en route to having his career over because he appeared to be so sorry, is now a star, elevating before our very eyes in Indianapolis. Because the Indianapolis Colts are undefeated at 3-0 on the season. The Green Bay Packers supposedly was going to walk around. They're going to walk through the NFL schedule. Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary and the rest of the crew and their menacing defense and their ability to get at a quarterback. Excuse me, there was nobody in the NFL that could compare to that. Nobody. And they were going to knock off the Eagles and they were going to waltz to the Super Bowl because they were the best team in football, obviously, with this defense. Everybody forgot about Jordan Love in key moments. Everybody forgot about how he could act when the pressure mounts. Everybody forgot that the Cleveland Browns may very well have a big-time bona fide defense that none of us paid enough attention to. So there's a whole bunch of stories to get into. Hell, I might even bring up Cardi B and her new album that's going platinum in a day. Okay? And some of her other announcements like she's getting ready to have Stephon Diggs, baby, but we ain't going to get into all of that. Okay? I'm just stating facts. I ain't being judgmental in any way. I'm just pointing out that there's so much stuff to get into. And by the way, the part of the biggest news is that I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm right here in the house. Okay? I'm right here because tonight, Monday night, when the Baltimore Ravens take on the Detroit Lions, it is your boy's debut on Monday Night Countdown for ESPN. You see, I grew up with Howard Cosell as my idol. He's one of my idols. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's when I learned about brokerage firms and stocks and all of this other stuff. When Howard Cosell used to say, halftime highlights brought to you by Merrill Lynch. A breed apart. I was a kid. I didn't even know what the hell that meant, okay? But I knew it because of Howard Cosell, because that's how distinctive his voice was. That's how he stood out above the crowd as a broadcaster, okay? Obviously never having played football or anything like that. And I always fantasized about being a part of the Monday Night Football coverage, and ESPN has blessed me with the honor of being able to do that tonight and a couple of other nights at the very least this season. It won't be every Monday night, but I'll be on tonight. There's a lot to get into, but we got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys because, ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, for all you Dallas Cowboy hopefuls out there, the season's over. Your defense is trash. It just has to be said, and we can't mince words. We can't wiggle our way around any of this stuff. The defense is trash. They're horrible. I mean, it was bad enough to see what the New York Giants did to them just last weekend when Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson had a field day with the Dallas Cowboys secondary, and Russell Wilson looked like the second coming of Dan Marino, throwing for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns before losing to the Dallas Cowboys 40-37, courtesy of an ill-advised Hail Mary-style interception that he threw in targeting Neighbors. All right, that was intercepted by Dallas, and Dallas ended up winning because they got the best field goal kicker in football, and this guy Brandon Aubrey. But that wasn't the case yesterday. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I can't even get to a point where I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys offense because this defense is so horrible. What can you say? 4 sacks in 3 games? 4 sacks in 3 games. I mean, if ever it was mounting evidence about how much they miss Micah Parsons, it's now. It's now. Because I'm here to tell you something right now. They can't stop a cold. They can't stop the sniffles. It's that bad with the Dallas Cowboys defense. 4 sacks in 3 games? A secondary led by Trayvon Diggs. He's slipping, he's falling, he can't get up. You understand? Biting the line from DMX song slipping. I mean, this is what's happening to Trayvon Diggs. Adunze with a touchdown. Burton III with a touchdown. You got a guy in Caleb Williams right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first half. I want y'all to make sure you understand it. This is the first half we're talking about with the Chicago Bears going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And this brother had about 5 throws, a 65-yarder, a 37-yarder, a 31-yarder. 65, 41, 35, 37, and 29 yards. This is Caleb Williams. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember, he was sacked 68 times last year. 68 times, 16 more than anybody else in the National Football League. Number 2 on the list was C.J. Stroud of the Houston Texans. But Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times. And as Sean Payton has religiously told folks, all sacks ain't the fault of the offensive line. Sometimes it is the quarterback holding on to the football along, not having enough pocket presence, not sensing the level of urgency and getting rid of the ball quick enough. All of those things can be true. Why am I bringing that up? Because yesterday, that was a non-factor. Caleb Williams was sitting back taking pictures, calling his honey, ordering Uber Eats. He was doing everything he did, everything he wanted to do before throwing the damn football. That's what Caleb Williams was doing because he didn't have to worry about a pass rush from the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. He didn't have to worry about a damn thing. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about right here. When he threw that 65-yard touchdown pass to Luther Burden III, it traveled 62.1 yards in the air. Longest completion in the NFL this season and the longest completion of Caleb Williams' career. And I'm just looking at this right now. This Cowboys defense, 4 sacks in 3 games, ranking 29th in the National Football League. Right now, total defense 30th, scoring defense 28th, pass defense 31st, sacks per game 29th, and third down defense dead last. So they don't stop people on third down. They don't stop people on third down. And by the way, speaking of the Bears, their running game, we all know it needs work. They were held to 87 yards and 29 carries, which is 3 yards per carry, with DeAndre Swift limited to 2.5 yards per rush on his 13 carries. Chicago don't have Jamal Gibbs and David Montgomery in their backfield for Ben Johnson like they did for him in Detroit. That much is true. They didn't need it yesterday. They didn't need it yesterday. And if you're Dak Prescott, and people, Cam Newton was on TV with me earlier this morning along with Dan Orlovsky, and they thought that I had lost my damn mind. But I'm going to say what I said to them. I'm going to say it to y'all audience right now. Let me tell you something that's really, really bothering me, and I'm not backing up from this. I want to know the name of the coach, whether it was Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, or somebody else. I want to know who's responsible for giving CeeDee Lamb the ball out of the backfield on a running play. Ladies and gentlemen, all things are not created equal. All things are not equal. Okay? CeeDee Lamb ain't built that way. You got to remember, when you're running the football out of the backfield, you're encountering defensive linemen and linebackers before you see anybody else. When you're a wide receiver, most of the time you're dealing with cornerbacks and safeties. It's a bit different when you're coming out of the backfield running the damn football. CeeDee Lamb ain't built like that. I paid him $136 million. $136 million. If I'm Jerry Jones, I paid him as one of the top 3 paid receivers in all of football to catch the damn ball away from the line of scrimmage in the teeth of an opposing team's secondary. I didn't pay for him to be lined up behind the quarterback in the backfield, in the damn I formation, and I'm giving him the ball to run through defenders, he got dragged down, hurt his ankle, wasn't really ready to go for the rest of the game, suffered from a high ankle sprain. There's an MRI that's scheduled for the day. We don't know what his status is going to be next week. He says he's going to be ready. He don't know. What if the MRI shows something different? What if it shows something different? Why would you take him, of all people, and put him in that position? He's not Deebo Samuel. He's not one of those dudes. He's tall and slim, incredibly gifted. You don't put him in a position to run out of the backfield in a running play. Everybody talking about, oh my goodness, you get a player like him, you get the ball in their hands no matter what. That's not true. You get them the ball in places that are ideal for them to excel. Running out of the backfield ain't it. That ain't what CeeDee Lamb signed up for. Huge mistake on the part of the Dallas Cowboys because it neutralized them offensively. And it left Dak Prescott relying, on this cat from Pittsburgh. And that's what you have. And because of that, your offense was relatively neutralized. Dak Prescott was left to do, but so much. Their offense was stripped of its potency. Their defense is trash, and they ended up getting blown out by a team who was 0-2 and was fresh off a previous week of giving up 52 points to the Detroit Lions in a blowout loss. But that's what happened. And because of that, I'm looking at I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm saying, excuse me, they don't have it. They don't have it. You can't expect but so much out of this team when you can't stop a cold. You just can't do it. That's how I'm viewing them right now. That's how I see them, and that's the way it's going to be. And by the way, late in the game, Trayvon Diggs and Kenny Clark, who was acquired in a Micah Parsons trade, by the way, both got hurt on the same defensive series in the third quarter. They committed 4 turnovers, but then forced a single turnover from the Chicago Bears. And 3 fourth-quarter drives all ended in interceptions. This is pretty bad. And by the way, it was going through the hands of cats. It wasn't like it was all Dak Prescott's fault. So we got to remember that moving forward. Make no mistake about it. Cowboys in a world of trouble. It doesn't look good at all. And somebody that likes to troll the Cowboys, because I do consider their fan base the most disgusting, nauseating fan base in American history. That is absolutely true. I'm not changing my mind. You see me say it on TV. Don't think you're going to hear me say otherwise on radio. I can't stand Cowboy fans, but it's all love. It's just me like loving trolling them. Okay? That's all it is. It's no big deal. It's not the end of the world. I'm just having a good time talking about them. But I got to tell you something right now. They are horrible defensively. They really, really are. George Pickens, listen, he's in a contract year. And when he's missing balls and it's going through his hands and Chicago's intercepted because of that, that's not a good look for him. Plain and simple. Javonte Williams is running the football effectively. That's one good spot for them. And I think offensively, Dallas, with all its bodies healthy, can make some noise offensively. But there's not much you can do for this defense because this defense is horrible. And I think that the Micah Parsons trade ultimately is going to come back to haunt Jerry Jones. He doesn't believe so in the long haul, but I do. And quite frankly, I've been right and he hasn't. Because it's been 29 years since the Dallas Cowboys have been in the championship game. That means they haven't been in a championship game, which means they haven't been in a Super Bowl, which means they haven't won a Super Bowl. And we all know they ain't going to win it this year. So since January 28th of 1996, the Dallas Cowboys are on the outside looking in at the Super Bowl. I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised. 888 Mad Dog 6 is the number to call up. That's 888-623-3646. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Lots to get into. Philadelphia Eagles. Wow. What do you say? Big boy Jordan Davis, 6'6", 336 pounds, blocks the field goal and then scoops it up and runs down and returns it to a touchdown. I mean, Big Boy still had to win to keep on running if he needed to. And he ran like 18.59 miles per hour. Nobody's expect that kind of speed on a boy that big. But that brother did his thing. Okay? Jalen Carter blocked the field goal before that. 2 blocked field goals ultimately cost the Rams the victory. Here's the thing about the Los Angeles Rams. Props in one sense because they came into Philadelphia ready to go. still sniffing the loss of losing to the Eagles in the divisional playoff game last year, and that snowball, essentially. They came out there roaring. Even though Matthew Stafford threw an interception earlier, ultimately they scored 5 times in the first half. Beautiful throw from Stafford to Devontae Adams for that score. Major props to him for that. Puka Nacua balled out all day yesterday. We get that part too, okay? And the Rams and Sean McVay going up against Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Looked like he was schooling the Eagles defense, no doubt. But then something happened. And it's a person that we have to talk about, and his name is Jalen Hurts. I mean, did nothing in the first half. They ultimately are down 26-7 and look like they're on the verge of getting blown out the building. And what the hell happens? Jalen Hurts just turned it up. And by the way, mainly through A.J. Brown. Because this dude, this stud that is A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles, let me tell you something right now. I had no problem with some of the noise that he made post-game. Let me be very, very clear about that. When he was talking about how they need to get him the ball. They need to let him loose. They need to let the cats hunt. Because there's a lot of talent on the crew, and they're being held back. Well, they didn't do that in the second half, and Jalen Hurts, 2 3rd-and-10 conversions. Threw a touchdown to him, threw a touchdown to Devontae Smith, threw for 209 yards in the second half. Completed 71% of his passes in the second half. Rams seemed ill-equipped to do anything about it. And by the way, props to Nick Sirianni and the Eagles coaching staff, because Lane Johnson goes down with a neck injury. This cat, Matt Pryor, comes in there right tackle, can't block me, okay? Letting them get at Jalen Hurts. And what did they do? They benched him. They bring in Fred Johnson. After that, Jalen Hurts is secured the right tackle spot, and he starts flinging that football. And the Rams and Sean McVay, who we love, who's a brilliant coach, is known for getting cautious from time to time as games tighten. Settling for field goals on far too many occasions. And as a result, leaving points on the board. And in yesterday's case, not once but twice, and 3 times over the last 2 weeks, he saw a field goal get blocked. So we're looking at the Rams as the ideal #1 threat to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. Obviously, that argument changes a little bit now. Some people might say that still. Some people might say Green Bay, but then Green Bay loses to Joe Flacco and a Cleveland Browns offense that could only register 13 points. And if Jordan Love hadn't thrown the damn interception, they still would have won the game, but they still only had 10 points. So now, who could you look at as the #1 threat to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC? You want me to tell you who it is? It may very well be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, this cat Ibuka out of Ohio State, who's a stud. Tampa Bay got some weapons, y'all. Tampa Bay got some weapons. There's a whole bunch of stuff to get into right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, 888 Mad Dog 6 is the number to call up. That's 888-623-3646. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. I'll get into a whole boatload of NFL action going on. Props to Asia Wilson, WNBA MVP for a 4th time. Major props to her and what she's bringing to the table, even though they got spanked by the Fever last night right after she got the damn award. So that's something to touch on just for a second. Of course, Cardi B, yes, you say, what that got to do with sports? Well, pregnant with Stephon Diggs' kid. That's what she announced. And on top of it all, she had an album come out that went platinum in one day. Nothing to discuss there. It was just a mention on my part. Just showing y'all that, you know what? I'm a busy man in the world of sports. Even politics to some point these days. But it still doesn't negate me knowing about some pop culture and entertainment. What can I say? I'm a Renaissance man. I mean, I don't think I am. But y'all can. Hold on to it. Stephen A. Smith Show coming your way. Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. Back with your calls and more in a minute.